He wasn't. So I can tell right now you don't get it. So just because your girlfriend chose to see somebody else, you thought the way to handle that was to shoot that person.
No, I did.
Well, 12 shots fired.
8:50,
Well, 8. 8. If you claim 8 shots. It only takes 1 to kill somebody.
Who else here really misses Miss Jackson? I know I do, and I love seeing her handle this parole hearing. I'll unpack with what details we have at the end. And as a note, they take this call, as you can see, using a phone because the connection for the Zoom call wasn't working. But you will see his face. There'll just be a delay in the voice. Let's jump.
No, don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Okay, I want to sit right here. I know.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. All right, here we go.
All right, Mr. Gaines, good morning.
Good morning.
Would you tell us your name and DOC number, please?
I can hear you.
Tell us your name and DOC number.
DEVIN game, 734, 730.
All right, Mr. Gaines, my name is Cheryl Renatza. This is Mr. Alvin Roche. This is Mrs. Bonnie Jackson. Let me read some identifying information into the record and we'll get started with the parole interview. So, Mr. Gaines, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 7-year sentence. You were sentenced in O'Boyles Parish in December 2022, aggravated assault with a firearm. Your parole eligibility date was September 7, 2023, and your good time date is May 20th, 24. Is that, all that sound right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case was assigned to Mr. Roche. Please answer any questions he may have.
Okay.
Oh, let me acknowledge first, I'm sorry. Let me acknowledge that your mother's here with us in Baton Rouge, as is your wife. Your mother, Miss Elizabeth Gaines, and your wife, Lorraine Anderson. They'll be speaking at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Gaines. How you doing? Good. Mr. Gaines, you are what, 27 years old?
Yes, sir.
And you've been incarcerated for 4 years and 10 months on a 7-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I see that you're a first felony offender and you were arrested sometime back in 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. February 20.
Okay, and you pled guilty in 2022. What was the holdup and where were you between 2019 and 2022?
The bottom pairs, and I was going back and forth to court. I just took the time that I started going to court.
Okay, so basically you pled guilty to aggravated assault with flight. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I searched your report and I didn't see any programs in 4 years. Have you completed any programs?
Why was it a boss guy they wouldn't let me get into any classes because I wasn't considered DOC yet. So I got to West Feliciana Parish, I signed up for it, but I ended up getting a job at Riverland. And I've been keeping my name on the good time classes, but they put me on the back page.
Backlog.
On the backlog. Yes, sir.
Okay, now, I see where you were arrested in 2014 for aggravated second-degree battery, and you were convicted. And then you completed the diversion program in November of 2018. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell me about the diversion program and what did you get out of that program?
to control my anger a little better. And basically, staying out of trouble for it lasted a little while.
It lasted 2 months.
Right.
And after finishing that diversion plan, which you said you got a lot out of, you were arrested for another violent offense.
Yes, correct.
So
Yes, sir.
do you think you need some more programming?
Work on my anger management a little bit more.
So tell me, what is your job at the work release right now?
Chemical plant and bad road police. We have criminal land and criminal land,
Okay,
a chemical plant.
okay. Is there a possibility that you might be employed at that chemical plant after release?
Yes, sir. They wrote that recommendation letter, sir.
Okay, so basically, you're doing very well at your transitional work program.
Yes, sir.
And is there a sizable salary after you get released?
Yes,
So I'm gonna ask you a question, Mr. Gaines.
yes, sir.
You have 5 months approximately left on your sentence. Is that correct? And if I would send you to programming, anger management, victim awareness, and 100-hour pre-release, you would probably have to leave your job.
Yeah, work with me today.
Okay, now, Deputy. Is the officer still in there with you? Okay, would you give us your name for the record?
Yeah, smiling, yeah.
Captain Smiley, is there any programs available to Mr. Gaines while he's working at work release? Do you have anger management? Do you have pre-release?
Yeah, I would get that.
Okay, victim awareness? Victim awareness.
I understand.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay, Captain Smiley, so we can arrange for him to get into anger management, right? Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Smiley, I'm going to basically, leave your work release and make sure that you are enrolled in anger management.
Mrs. Jackson?
Good morning, Mr. Gaines. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You're 27 now, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been in prison for about 4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were 23 when this happened, is that correct?
I was 22.
Okay. What kind of weapon did you have?
Yes,
And how many times did you fire that pistol?
I believe 8 pounds.
Well, if
Back
I,
in the record, they took 12.
well, 8, 12, what's the difference? Well, let me ask you this. What did you think would happen if you shot in the direction of a human being 8 to 12 times? What did you think was going to happen?
Something bad.
So why would you do that?
Because I was protecting my life.
No, you weren't.
He also had a gun himself.
Did he fire shots? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I struggle with this mentality that everybody's got to walk around with a gun and every situation requires shots to be fired.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't think you learned a whole lot from this experience because you think what you did was justified.
No, ma'am, I know what I did was wrong. And I learned from my mistakes.
What'd you learn?
Now,
What did you learn?
not do it again.
Why?
Because, practice helping my son life.
So it,
And then,
well, let me ask you this. What if you had killed that man? You think he might have children? You think he might have been missing his child's life? You think he had parents?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you all ever think about what happens after you shot the gun?
At the time, I wasn't thinking.
Well, yeah, you were. Now, you may not have been thinking right, but you were thinking.
Yes, ma'am.
So what would you have done differently in that situation? What was this even about?
It was together with a female,
What was it about?
or, part of my ex-girlfriend, together.
Okay. So does your ex-girlfriend have a right to see whoever she wants to see?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she see him because she wanted to see him?
Yes, ma'am.
Then why would that necessitate your shooting at him?
And he was reaching for a weapon.
Well, no, he wasn't. See, I can tell right now you don't get it. So just because your girlfriend chose to see somebody else, you thought the way to handle that was to shoot that person.
No, ma'am. I did.
Well, 12 shots fired.
8 well.
Well, 8. 8. If you claim 8 shots. It only takes 1 to kill somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
I just don't see that you've learned anything at all, Mr. Gaines. Your thinking is still on the level of someone who has low intelligence. I'm not saying you have low intelligence, but you think like somebody who has low intelligence. Because a person with low intelligence can't figure out any other thing to do but react the way you reacted. And until you change that mindset, you're going to be back. Regardless of what this board does, you're going to be back.
I wanted to break his tongue.
I hope that's the case, but you're a convicted felon, Mr. Gaines, so you don't get to possess a weapon.
But this time, I don't want to be wrong.
All right, that's all.
Mr. Gaines, what grade did you complete in school?
And
Why'd you drop out?
my son,
And
it was something matter. And do what I was supposed to.
what was that?
Take care of my job.
How'd you do that? How'd you take care of it? By quitting school?
I want to get a job.
Where were you working before all this happened?
I worked for Point Smith Railroad Company,
What were you doing for the railroad company?
rebuilding railroad tracks.
In the Boyles Parish?
No, ma'am, all of,
Oh.
traveling.
Okay. Okay, and what exactly do you do at Riverland?
It's like a chemical plant. They make type of chemicals that we ship to other companies.
Right, what is your specific job?
The labor.
So what does that involve?
I just put all the product that you make, I put it in bags and haul it to the front.
To get it ready to ship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Captain, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. Gaines?
Oh, that was actually on the best job we got here. He's been on it since we started. Let me see how long Devin's been on this job. Pretty quick. Yeah. Devin has been on there since January 23rd of 23. He's done good. Got a good report from Mr. Adam Hilfiger at Riverland. So, main man up there. Yeah. He's not been in his show there.
Good.
He's been no problem to us. I really can't fight people. When he was out on the street, but boys come in here, he started up bothering me.
All right, good to hear. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Devin, we're gonna hear from your wife and your mother now. Miss Anderson, could we hear from you first? Lorraine, if you want to step up there, please. And you have to talk loud because you got to talk into here so he can hear you. Okay? Yeah.
So I just feel like everybody deserves a second chance, and I know this decision was bad in the past, but he shows me day and day on the phone that he's sorry, he made a change. I have a home for him to come home to, we have kids waiting on him, we have family waiting on him. And as far as health, he needs help, but that's something that I'm going to do with him.
What kind of help do you think he
He
needs?
has anger, he has anger.
Right. Do y'all share children
We
together?
don't share any kids.
How many children in the household?
Well, his son is with his mom, but including his child three.
So in your home,
I have 2 children.
and then his son
His son.
comes around every evening.
Yes.
How old are your children?
14 and 7.
Okay. Good. Well, thanks for being here today. We appreciate it. Miss Elizabeth?
Miss Margaret, I think you have learned this lesson. I mean, everybody deserves a second chance, and what he did wasn't right, and I hope that he done learned from it, and he do better, because he have a son that's 9 years old, and he need to be there for him.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Davin,
Yes, ma'am.
you got any money in your account?
Yes, ma'am.
You been sending money home to your son
Yes, ma'am.
on a regular basis?
Yes, ma'am.
You been sending money home to your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
How much you got left in your account?
$4.
All right, so you've been doing very well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything you want to say to us before we vote?
I really appreciate it, Dr. Prove myself.
All right. Good deal. I think we're ready to vote. Mr. Roche?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Devin?
Yeah.
Listen real good. Listen real good.
Yes.
Miss Jackson was exactly right. You don't have it yet. You're angry. You got a chip on your shoulder. You need to knock that chip off. I see clear as day. You need to, I'm gonna ask Captain Smalley to enroll you in that anger management class after hours, so you don't lose your job. You need to sit on the front row. You need to apply everything you hear. You have a problem, and that problem is gonna lead you back where you are right now. Take this opportunity as a learning lesson. My vote is to deny your request. I'm gonna leave you in transitional work program until May of next year. And I want you to enroll in anger management and take all the information you get out of that course and try to apply it. And I would recommend that you accept all the help that your family's gonna give you, because they recognize that you have a problem. And that problem is gonna lead you down a path that will cause you to be incarcerated for much of your life. Please take this to heart and try to correct the way and not the chip off your shoulder.
Captain Smiley, you do have anger management at your facility?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
All right, Mr. Gaines,
Yes, ma'am.
you may not recognize it now, but being incarcerated is the best thing that could have happened to you. Because had you not been where you are, one, you wouldn't have this opportunity with a good job. Secondly, you would have continued to engage in criminal conduct, and the next time somebody could have been killed. And so rather than being so anxious to get out of jail, you need to be grateful that you're there, grateful that you have this good job, grateful that the people that you work for think enough of you to want to offer you a permanent job. But I don't think you're ready. I think you still got a lot of growing up to do. I think you still need to deal with the way that you think about things. And I definitely think you need to complete anger management. So my vote today is likewise to deny. Continue to work hard on that job, continue to prove yourself on that job.
I had a job on the railroad, far from here, 6 years.
But that didn't stop you from shooting at somebody 8 times. A job is beneficial, but a job doesn't change your thinking. And until you change your thinking, you're gonna be right back where you are. And it's unfortunate that you weren't able to participate in some programs that might have helped you change your thinking. But you've got to change your thinking, young man. That's a reality, okay? But my vote today is to deny, keep working hard on your job, and you'll be home in May.
All right, Mr. Gaines, I do agree. I can tell you're kind of angry this morning a little bit, so I think you could benefit from the anger management. My vote today also is to deny. But hey, when you finish that program, you're gonna get some good time credit, so it won't be till May. Sit on the front row and get what you want. What is it? What is it?
Just for 4 years, 10 months, and
Well, you can do the next few months standing on your head then. You got it down pat. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. I know you want to go home. We want you to stay home when you go home. That's the deal.
yeah, that was my plan.
All right.
But, yeah.
Good luck. That's our vote. Captain, can you help get him in the anger management, please?
Great, and, just want to sign them up,
Okay.
now, this job works days and nights, so I work something out with that, I work that out.
We just- Okay. Well,
You to make good time.
Yeah. all right. Good deal. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your help.
You know, I can figure it out.
That's okay. It happens. Thank you so much. That's all we got. That's all we got at West Feliciana. We're gonna sign off at 10:22.
That was class Miss Renata. She says, well, that's great. You'll be able to do just fine standing on your head. You know, you got those programs pat. And I don't know if you heard him there at the end. He said something about them judging him. And, you know, just a bad interview, like bad kind of attitude, I thought. And he's still out though, so we can't give him credit. Again, this hearing took place 12/12/2023, so at the time of this recording, basically 7 or so months ago. And you know, he's only been out for so long, but he is not, you know, according to the records I have, he's still out. Now, Miss Jackson was right. I'm looking at a news article Richard provided, written February of 2019. I can't share the article because it lists a full address, and you know, I just don't mess around with that kind of stuff. But it says that he did fire his weapon 12 times in the article. So, you know, I don't know why people feel the need to. Now, is it possible the article is wrong? I guess so, but believe what Miss Jackson has in the article versus this guy saying no, it was 8 times. So he was arrested on attempted second-degree homicide. February 17th, they said that they received a call of a suspect, later identified as our gentleman over here, who had opened fire on a vehicle. And he fired his weapon 12 times, impacting both the vehicle and a nearby home. Nobody was harmed in the gunfire. The owner of the vehicle then contacted the police. During the investigations, authority managed to obtain a security video from a local business that led them to securing the arrest warrant, and he was charged with attempted second-degree homicide. And I don't know how in 2019 you get arrested for second-degree attempted homicide, and then you get paroled really just basically 5 years later, 4.5 years later or something. It just seems weird. Like, you can get more time for just owning an illegal gun in some states, like minimum 5-year penalties. I don't know. It's just strange, right? How do you get that kind of deal? But there you have it. And yeah, and he's like, well, he was going to shoot at me. No, he wasn't. He's in the car drive. It's just, the whole thing is just insane. I love the Miss Jackson mic drop, just really railing into him in that way. But I don't know. Well, this is one that I feel like we'll have to keep our tabs on to see if he's going to come back. I didn't get good energy from it at all. But we can move to the next hearing. So let's go.
And so what did you do to her?
Got in a fight.
What did you do to her?
We basically got in a fight.
I know. What did you do to her?
Slapped her and yes, ma'am.
You threatened to kill her?
Oh, ma'am, I didn't.
We are about to watch a parole hearing that is quite interesting because we see positive comments and reflection from the warden. We also see the DA come up and make a profound statement. And personally, I think this is one of my favorite Miss Renata hearings. With that, let's jump in.
Offender. You are currently serving a 5-year sentence. You were sentenced in Beauregard Parish on June 5th, 2020 for second-degree battery. You have a parole eligibility date, which was October 3rd, 2023. You don't earn good time, so your full-term date is January 3rd, 2025. Does all that sound right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, as I mentioned, you're a 4th felony offender, but when I looked at your record, I'm very concerned about your violent history. And let me just go over what I saw in the record. In 1993, Lafayette Sheriff's Office, aggravated battery. 2000, second-degree battery in Jeff Davis. 2005, aggravated battery and battery of a police officer in Calcasieu. 2006, sexual battery in Jefferson Davis. 2011, sexual assault in Eunice, or simple assault, excuse me. 2012, domestic abuse battery. 2016, failure to register as a sex offender, St. Landry. 2017, theft, possession of Schedule 2 and Schedule 4, that was in Eunice. 2017, failure to register again. 2017, battery of a dating partner in Eunice. 2019, domestic abuse battery. And now we have this 2020 episode of second-degree battery and violation of a protective order. Is anything that I read in that record incorrect?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
So tell us why all the violence.
Just, alcohol, right?
Alcohol did that?
Yes, ma'am.
How? You did that. You did all this. The alcohol didn't do it. So tell us about your alcohol issues.
I just was raised in a family that drank alcohol, and I just, give it all up, though.
When? Since you've been in jail this time?
Well, it's, probably been about 5 years ago.
But this incident happened in 2020, didn't it? When did it happen? 2019.
Yeah.
So were you drinking then?
Yes, ma'am.
So about 4 years ago. What made you give it up?
Family problems.
So the family made you give it up?
Yes, ma'am.
So how did they manage to do that?
I just, I've been working in the oil field, and I just quit drinking, really.
So let's see, you got out of jail in March of 2019. You released from LaSalle, right?
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
you released from LaSalle, and then this happened shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
And so during that time, you were drinking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? What were you drinking? What did you drink?
I drink bourbon.
Any drugs?
No, ma'am. No drugs.
Just the bourbon.
Yes.
A lot of it.
Yeah, at one time, yeah, it was just casual, but it turned real serious. You know, it's bottles. You know, just,
So you're drinking all day, I think, in 2019?
well, no, not when I was at work, I wouldn't drink. It was when I would get off of work.
So you worked in the oil field, and so you worked so many days on and so many days off. Is that how that worked?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many days were you at work?
I was at work 4 days. I was off 2 days.
So you
I
were on
worked
4 and off 2. So the 2 days you were off, you stayed drunk.
Well, not real drunk, but it was a problem. It was a problem. It was getting out of hand. Yeah.
So have you ever had any formal treatment?
I went to some celebrating recovery classes.
When did you do that?
I did that over here in Quincy.
In DeQuincy?
Yes, ma'am.
So where do they do that at? They're in the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
So you say you went to some classes. What did you learn from the classes that you did go to?
Well, it was to get my sober, like to be sober, and it was to stay away from wrong crowd and just stuff like that.
You ever been to any AA meetings?
Yes, ma'am. In the past, yes,
When?
that was probably about 8 years ago.
How often did you go when you were going to AA meetings?
I would go every I had to I had community service and AA classes, so I had
So
to
you
go.
went because the court required you to go, not because you chose to go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. ma'am.
Okay, that's different. So let's talk about what happened and why you're in jail. What did you do?
Second degree battery charge. I was drinking.
Specifically, what did you do?
Well, we got. I was at the rig. My wife come pick me up, and we went home, and we got in a fight. Yeah.
So what is your wife's name? What, at the time, what was your wife's name?
Selena Fontenot.
But there was a protective order in place.
Yes, ma'am.
So why were y'all even around each other?
He picked me up at the all rig. I was in Texas, over in Starks, and she came pick me up over there.
And so what did you do to
Bring
her?
her- Got in a fight.
What did you do to her?
We physically got in a fight.
I know. What did you do to her?
Slapped her and yes, ma'am.
You threatened to kill her?
Oh, ma'am, I didn't.
Why'd you
Yeah.
kick in the back door?
I didn't kick the back door in. I did. I was. All the charges right there got dropped. She said I did all that, but I did not do that. I did.
Hit
She
her
brought
in the head? Beat her in the head?
fell against the car and stuff. I didn't beat her in the head. I didn't.
Why did she have to be airmatted out?
We got in a physical fight, and then the cops got there and everything, and she left. Yeah.
I don't think you've really reconciled with what happened that day, that particular day. And then I'm looking at all these other assaults and batteries that are really, really concerning to me. What level of school did you complete, sir?
10th grade.
Did you ever try to get your GED? Why not? That wasn't important to you?
I was in the all field, and
So you already had a good job, you didn't think you needed it, making good money? Okay.
right.
I think it's important, though. I think it's really important for you to, you have any children?
Yeah, I have 4 kids. Yeah.
How
Yes,
old
ma'am.
are they?
I got 2 left. 2 of deceased. I got 2 daughters, 28 and 26.
Do you have any contact with the daughters?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, good. You know, there's opposition. We're going to hear from the DA's office in a moment. The sentencing judge is opposed to any consideration for early release. Law enforcement is opposed to any consideration. We did get some input from a brother Jackson from the church there in DeQuincy. He was advocating for your parole hearing, so I wanted you to know that. Why do you think, given the record and everything I've just said, why do you think we ought to grant you?
I did my time, and I just feeling better about myself, and I've been around a lot of good people. I think I did my time, and I don't really. I always been a good guy, other than getting in trouble like with back to back to back. But I've been around. I'm just gonna take it's all me but I learned. I'm 50 years old now. I don't need nobody to. I just want to get out and be home with my family, and I learned from all this because 4 years ain't short, and I just want to be home. It's just.
How you gonna stay out of jail? You seem to have a problem with women.
I'm just gonna stay away from all the and just into myself and
How you
be.
gonna stay sober?
I ain't drinking no more. The alcohol is. I'm 50 years old. I learned from. I ain't getting no younger.
Who drinks? You just said. So everywhere you go, people will go be drinking. How you not gonna drink?
I'll go to a class, or it's to help myself. I mean, I'm just ain't gonna drink.
Yeah, but you said that, but well, I guess the court made you go. I don't have any other questions. Let me ask, Warden Tarver, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. Artigo?
Ma'am, I've been the warden now for about 3 years. Kind of come off of patrol to take this job. The little time that I've known Artigo, and this is just from observing him, I've watched him when he didn't think I was watching. I listen to his phone calls. I monitor the phone calls and stuff in here. I hear everything you just said. I didn't see any of that in him. Maybe I was fooled, but what little bit he's been around me, like I said, when he didn't even think I was listening or watching, I seen a pretty good man.
Well,
I was
good.
shocked when you read that off in a way. I didn't know none of that. Maybe I should myself look into things a little bit more. But like I said, I haven't had this job that long. He was already here when I took over as warden.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us, particularly about observing him when he didn't know you were looking. So I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, sir. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, ma'am.
Any
Thank
questions?
you.
Could we hear from the DA's office? I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you early on, but welcome, and we'd like to hear what you want to say about Mr. Artigo.
Thank you, Chairman Renatza and members of the board. I'm Jimmy Lestage. I'm the district attorney in Beauregard Parish. I'm here for the victim. She is currently in the hospital on hospice care and cannot appear, but she did prepare a written statement to your victim's coordinator. I think you have that. I'd encourage you to review that. I want to point out, as you stated, he is a violent criminal with a long criminal history and a registered sex offender. I believe he presents a danger, not only continuing danger to Ms. Fontenot, but he presents a danger to anyone else that he's around at this time. The DOC records that I've been able to review do not indicate that he's received any kind of programming to help himself stay out of a situation like this and keep himself out of the Department of Corrections. So I would certainly encourage him to participate in anything that may be available as far as anger management and or decisions or whatever the DOC may offer. So I do not agree that he has done his time and he's ready to be released. I believe that's also the feeling that Ms. Fontenot has, and she stated in her statement. She spent 30 days in the hospital after this event. And I think you're privy to the color photographs from the file. Have you seen those? Okay, I'm not going to put those on the screen then, but they are not minor. They show severe violence. And I don't know if he's downplaying the severity of the issue or if he just does not realize that he almost beat this woman to death. So with that said, we are opposed. The sheriff is opposed. The judge is opposed. And again, the victim is who we're here for today, and she's not able to appear. And part of that is because of the broken hip she received in this incident. So she is hospitalized and homebound, I believe, on hospice care. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lesage. We appreciate you being here today. Mr. Artigo, before we vote, is there something you'd like to say to us, the board? All right, so I think we're ready to vote. I'll be voting first. Mr. Artigo, you heard about the extent of the damage that Ms. Fontenot sustained in her ongoing medical issues. I agree with the district attorney. You say you've done your time. You hadn't. You got a 5-year sentence. You just happened to be before us today because of the law says you're eligible for parole. I don't see that I'm proud to hear what the warden has said about you, but based on your criminal history, your violent criminal history, and the lack of programs to address those issues, my vote today is to deny your parole. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Artigo, based upon an extensive criminal history, a history of violence, the entire legal community is strongly opposed victim opposition, and you do need a long-term substance abuse program. Hopefully, you can get enrolled in that before release. But at this time, I'm going to deny your request.
Mrs. Jackson.
My vote is to deny for the same reasons as my colleagues. And I would just like to make sure you understand, Ms. Orgo, that beating a woman is not being in a fight. Okay? So if that's how you view the situation, then you've got a lot to learn. Beating a woman up is not the same thing as y'all being in a fight. That's it.
All right, Mr. Artigo, you've received a unanimous vote to deny your parole today. It's been denied. Warden Tarver, thank you so much for accommodating us. Thanks for your input. We're going to sign off from the Quincy City Jail at 10:47.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
I was at the edge of my seat during this one. I don't know how I missed it until now. Richard has it highlighted in red, and it was just an oversight. What was so unique about this hearing for me was so many things. I mean, one is having the warden come on and actually kind of have like this completely transparent introspection in front of like the parole board, nonetheless, and a district attorney to say, hey, this is all I've seen of him, but maybe maybe I should improve how I look at these files. And then you have the DA, which really, if you want to, could you paint a better architecture, you know what I mean, of a Louisiana district attorney, and he comes in with his speech. You have Miss Renatza, that this might have been my favorite interview that I've seen Miss Renatza do. She very Miss Jackson-esque. I mean, kind of leading him on, and you're like, where is she? And then and letting him kind of dig himself and it gets to the point where you find out that he beat her to the point where she was hello-vaxxed to a hospital. And she goes through the sequences of it, giving him every opportunity to admit how bad he beat her, and he never did. And then, of course, you have the epic Miss Jackson mic drop to, I guess, tie the bow on the hearing. But it is scary. I think that what we see here through this hearing is just how, here you have a warden. He said he was new, but still, even when the guy didn't think he was being watched, I don't know how to interpret this, but the dude seems like a complete monster. I mean, he's lucky he's not life in prison. I don't know. How do you only get 5 years? Why was it not attempted homicide? Why is it? Well, I just covered a case before this where there's a man who got habitual offender, life in prison, and he had burglary charges, no violent crimes on his record, but they gave him an habitual offender, life in prison in Angola. And here this man has a 5-year sentence. How is that possible? I make it make sense. Now the something I just can't. I can't make sense of it. And it looks like you have a DA that's very aware of how crazy things are. That's talking to this poor victim that is in hospice care, that his life is forever altered, and he's gonna get out and in the next few years, no matter what. What a bad hearing. He tanked his hearing. Oh my gosh. Mr. Ross tore him a new one. But here, what's something is interesting that Richard found is that it does seem to be a family of crime. So they did this bank robbery. Now, I think it was it's not entirely clear to me. So he was the getaway driver in the bank robbery, but it looked like I think the woman who he beat was involved in it. And then maybe someone's father or mother, but Ernest police have announced the capture of Selena Fontenot, 54, who's accused of robbing the state bank. It wasn't any bank robbery, too. You listen to this. She was picked up last night at Calshua Parish and on another robbery charge. The police chief said she will be transported on Monday for booking. Fontenot is accused of robbing the bank Thursday. In that incident, the robber told the bank employees that she had a bomb. In a weird twist of this story, police say Fontenot, also known as Selena Doucette and Selena LeBlanc, is the sister of Charles Fontenot. And Charles Fontenot is accused of using an alleged bomb during a robbery of the Basel State Bank in Eunice last year. Both bombs turned out to be fake. In Thursday robbery, a woman wearing a baseball cap and dark glasses and holding a handgun took an undisclosed amount of cash from the bank. The robber then told the bank employees that the package she was leaving behind contained a bomb and that it would explode if they tried to follow her. Following the robbery, the woman fled the bank and was allegedly picked up by the accomplice, whom police identified as our Prince Conley Ortego. The bank would remain sealed off hours until the state police bomb squad would arrive. The bomb we determined the package left was nothing more than a battery, some wires, and a plastic case. Sounds like a metastatic idea. Suspecting this robbery might be related to last year's similar incident, the police obtained a search warrant for Selena Fontenot's residence, and the investigating officers apparently missed her by seconds. They discovered a chicken dinner cooking in the oven. Wow, she had a chicken dinner going in the oven. And an open beer still cold on the floor. I could just picture the detectives going in there, like Louisiana, and they break into the search warrant. And then one of the detectives goes up and picks up the beer and is like, still cold. We just missed them. The investigators obviously, the money of the robbery was not in the house, but police did find items they said were linked to the Fontenot robbery. Although Fontenot has now been captured, police are still seeking Ortego. Her brother, Charles Fontenot, who is considered a prime suspect in last year's fake bomb robbery of the Basel State Bank in West Maple, is currently serving a 20-year sentence. It all runs in the family, and I don't know. Is she the victim? I don't know. The sentence. Listen to this way. It gets more. Another twist. So the sentence involved October 7, 2013, of the home bank, Cameron Street. Charles Fontenot has a long record, having been arrested more than 20 times in St. Landry, Lafayette. And in 1985, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison when he was rearrested in 1988 after he used a tractor to break out of Dixon Correctional Institute. Oh my gosh. And that's not this guy. That is the other person involved that's the person who did the bank robbery the year before. But can't make this stuff up. It still blows my mind how he got 5 years. That just, it just goes to show. I think these DAs like to talk out of two sides of their mouth. He stands up here and he acts all tough, but meanwhile, he might have been the very man that agreed to a 5-year deal when they could have easily done attempted homicide and gone to trial and said, let's, but the DAs don't care. What they care is that, I saw someone Richard actually shared it with me. It was an interview and someone made a good point in it. And they said, the DAs don't care about protecting their communities. They care about wins and loss column. So when you take a plea deal, it's a win in the win column. And then when they going up for election, they can say, look, I've won 99.9% of my cases. But if you then look into the weeds of it, you realize that they're actually weak on crime. Because being tough on crime is going to court. Being tough on crime is getting losses. in the lost column. And I think that it's really important for the more and more that the constituency and people can realize that it's all just a facade and all a game that most of the DAs put on there, some good ones, but the more that we figure that out, the better, and we can actually have people that are in there to protect their constituency. Thank you, Richard, for the info. And with that, I'll let you go.